Alright guys, and finally we have the Cholek, the stranger portion of the actual roster. I'm hoping this one gets filled out a lot more. I actually haven't seen a lot of Cholek, like besides the kind of defaulty ones, but I haven't seen a lot of them, but the ones that I have seen have been very useful. So we'll go through these one at a time, and then that'll be it. That'll be the entire roster reviewed with my final thoughts at the end. So first up is the Amplifier Bithal. So Amplifier Bithal is a 4-drop, 4 mana, so that's decent enough. She looks like she's wielding and wilding here. So 4 mana, melee, and it has 1, so, you know, not really going to use it. And it has scouting intel, so allies in range have +1 attack. So that's not great. I mean, giving your allies in range +1 attack is fine, but honestly, I mean, it's got 5 health. So you're not going to really use a 4-drop. It's not going to survive more than a turn, especially when your opponent reads what this does. And it only does 1 health, it's 1 damage itself. So you're putting this down to buff, but it's by far not the strongest buff that exists in the game. So 2. Possibly, because it costs 4, I'd even say close to 1. Oh, my bad. And yes, I took my hat off. It was getting very, very hot in Ireland for some reason. Global warming. Next up is Blindsider Estli. Blindsider Estli. 2-drop. Okay, quite that's decent. Very lovely miniature here. And melee. Cornered, gains +2 attack and fast when you have no Cinder. So Cinder is the resource that you're using that I'm calling mana. That's Cinder. So when you have no Cinder, it has +2 attack and fast. So it moves farther and attacks harder as a 4 damage 6-drop for 2 mana. And you're not going to have Cinder a lot. I mean, you can choose to save it because you can carry up to 3 Cinder over, I believe. But, I mean, you're gonna, at a certain point, you're gonna want to utilize this. So if you drop this just for 6, it's gonna survive a turn at least. But then it's gonna get to just chunk the field, move really fast, and then do 4 damage as a melee. That's gonna take out 60 to 75% health from most of the roster. So, great. This is really, really strong. It's strong in certain decks. I wouldn't call it a 5. I'd say it's a 4. Drum Dancer Tilali. Now this is very, very cool. Getting Wakanda Forever vibes from this, so that's really cool. 1-drop, fantastic. 1-drop for 5 health. Also, like that's pretty good. That's actually not bad at all. 1-drop, 5 health, melee, and Battle Frenzy. Give melee units pummel for a turn. Now I can't actually check what pummel does, but it does 2 damage itself, and it does cost 2 Cinder, 2 mana to actually activate this. So I would say, I mean, it doesn't say a specific range. So if you're going focused melee, put her in. That's a strong 3 to put her in. Otherwise, probably not going to see play. Fate Twister Tantan. These masks and everything are fantastic. Some of you painters are going to have so much fun painting this stuff. 2-drop. Not an attack, not in a melee or a ranged, but for 1 mana, for 1 Cinder, choose a unit. If friendly, its next attack will hit. Guaranteed. If enemy, its next attack will miss. Guaranteed. So this is a 3 mana, essentially. 3 mana to make sure that your opponent's next attack does not hit. Or to make sure your next attack does. So, keeping this in the back pocket for a very specific play that you're doing could prove useful, and for 2 mana, I don't see why you're not putting this in a deck, especially for your range decks. I'd say it's a good sideboard-ish kind of thing. So yeah, I'd say strong 3. Very situational in what deck it is, but when it's in that deck, you want to keep this. This is good to have and hide. Mykoani Thicket, yeah. I'm guessing Mykoani. What the heck? I'm never going in the jungle again. That is amazing. This whole thing a creature? That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. Mycoani Thicket. 6-drop melee. Slow, doesn't move as far. Poison, so anyone it damages reduces to 1 health. And Trap Prey, so for 2 mana, move units towards Mycoani Thicket. So it's got 10 health, it's doing 2 damage, but it's effectively not doing 2 damage. It's doing 2 damage, technically plus infinite -1, or whatever the boulder dash I'm talking about. You get what I'm talking about, whether the unit has 5 health or 50 health. If this damages it, it goes down to 1. That's really good. And you get to do a scorpion grappling pull to move a unit towards Mycoani Thicket. That's really good. And it's tanky as hell. You don't even need to attack with this. You just need to, I mean, you do for the poison, but just the pull effect itself on a tank is really good. So yeah, okay, I'll give that a I mean, it's a 6 out of 5 for this artwork, but I give that a I give it a 4. I give it a 4. Yeah. Niche, but good. I give it a 4. Nakahual. This plant tech thing is amazing. 4-drop, fast, increased movement range, and for 2 mana, return ally to bridge and fully restores. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, because it's healing. Now you do have to resummon the creature that you just sent, but that's how you protect your crossfires or your crosshairs. That's how you protect your big units if you're playing a range drop deck. And again, with Astra lowering this thing's mana, I mean, you can create some really, really strong plays with this. Send the unit back, fully heal it. Astra then drops its mana back and you summon it back again. The swings you can create. Keep this alive. For 9 health, and for 9 health you will. So keep this alive, definitely. Peacemaker Balam. Oh, very interesting. 4 mana, no attack, 5 health, and Spore Puff. So for 2 mana, stun rival crew for a turn. So combine this with Crosshair if you want. I mean, you're devoting a lot of mana now because this is effectively a 6-drop, but for stun locks, especially for those pesky runaways, very, very good. Strong 3. Strong 3 in my opinion. Quetzali. Ooh. Again, plant meets tech. That's really cool. That's really cool. Okay, 5 mana. No attack, 10 health. Whenever an ally in range has depleted its movement, refresh it. 5 remaining this turn. So does that refresh every turn? So you can just move and then move again. Put this in all your melee decks. That is crazy. That is crazy. So just move your melee into range. Imagine this with Extelior. Move Extelior into range. It's used up, and then this is in range, and it goes again. And this doesn't say like, oh yeah, it's only like once. Like, what if you happen to end just on the cusp of this, get a refresh, and end again just on the cusp of? Can you use another one? Like, you could have your melee guys jumping across the field. I'll experiment with that. I'll experiment. Excuse me. I'll experiment with that. That actually seems really interesting. So, shit, I want to say 5, but don't know what the experiment will say. So, well, hard 4. Tipu. 4-drop, melee, digest. When Tipu hits, it permanently gains +1 attack and health. 4-drop, it is melee. It's doing 3 damage, and it's got 7 health. So it's gonna hit, and then if it hits, it's gonna be a 4 attack, 8 health, minus however much you just took return in melee. If this thing lives longer than 2 turns, if it's got reduction in damage or anything like that, this can become a serious problem that your opponent has to focus on. If you've got space for it, 5, put it in your deck. If you can make space for it, 4. If you're working on something else, like a full range deck, you don't need to do that. But this thing, this could get out of hand fast. Totemistic Mantio. 5-drop, no attacks at all. I would have thought its head would be there. In fact, it kind of does look like, see, head's right there. No, it's a whole long neck thing. That's that's bleak. Tone of Mystic Man to you, 5-drop, Praise Cinder. As at turn end, restore 1 health to your captain for each unspent cinder. So this is good if you find yourself needing to save a lot of cinder for the following turn, which means your captain's going to be getting a heal, and that's very good, especially in melee decks like with Extelior, because you're going to be moving your captain in to do its swing about move and using more as an active unit than as a runaway. So with this on the field, and you're trying to save at least 3 mana per turn, you're going to be getting a 3 heal per turn, which means your opponent's going to try and focus this down. Now, doesn't have a lot of health at 6, but can still be useful in a pinch. So I'm going to say 2.5 to 3. There are better options, but you never know. Ursix Nectar Vine. Ooh, I like this planty stuff, I really do. I would agree in plants, would you believe? So Immobile for a 4-drop, so once you place this down, that's it, that's where it is. Healing Bloom, restore 2 health to all allies in range every turn, and it has 8 health. Your opponent is going to need to focus this down immediately, because this will get out of hand, because most ranged decks will only be using stuff that can only hit for about 2 or 3 bar crossfire if she attacks a unit that hasn't moved. So having this down is just going to constantly refresh, which means they're going to need to put themselves in a very specific position to take care of it, at which point you could try and bombard them out. So this is very, very, very good, and heal is really good in this game. So this is a strong 4 if you're going for any kind of stability kind of control area type of deck. Absolutely. Combine this with shielding, forget about it. And Ursix Scattervine. Ooh, jeez. I want to create a... Oh, sorry, I did not mean to zoom in on my X there. I want to create a whole kind of planty, kind of weird, just trudge deck. Like, we might need a bit more stronger support, but like they just look so good not to use. Ursix Scattervine. 2-drop, melee. Slow and charge. So charge means you can make it move the moment it's deployed, which is very, very good. And I think if we've gone through all the units, I think that's the only unit that can actually do that. So charge and growth. So for 2, it creates another Ursix Scattervine. Now it's only doing 1 damage for 3. So you don't want to drop this on first turn, because you're not going to get it in melee range, and your opponent is going to focus this down because of this. And if it creates another Ursix Scattervine, which creates another Ursix Scattervine, you've got a whole host of problems. So this you could technically use this, drop this turn 1, turn 2, pop its ability to make another one, save all your mana that you have for the next turn. So now you've got 3 saved over. So your turn 5 will have 8 mana to spare, and then just work 2 backwards. So you could always, as long as you have one of these, work in a 2 deficit. So if you have 7 mana, no, you actually have 5, because you're going to proc this. So proc this every turn, proc this when you can, and you'll just see slowly, your opponent will not have, like, it will be, because it's only 3 health, but it's still something your opponent has to actively want to destroy and have to deal with, because if these things get over the place, there's no movement. So it's really, really good. Its potential is incredible, and especially if you're building a late game deck, you want this to be able to fill out your early game. So I'm gonna say 4. If it is as vicious as I think it could be, strong 5. And that is it, guys. That is all the units that we have so far. There's going to be rebalances, there's going to be changes, and there's going to be new units added. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is just my take. When they get rebalanced or when new units are added, I will put out another video as well. But for now, yeah, thanks for sticking with me, especially with my chest. I haven't been feeling the best lately, but yeah, thanks a lot, guys. See me in the next video. Bye bye.